Hi, this is Ms. Wiles, and in this video we'll be focused on circles and writing their equations in standard form when we know the center and the radius, and maybe later on we'll do an example where we just know some point on the circle. In this example, our center is at -5, +4. Now, an equation in standard form is in the format of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now, h and k are the x and y coordinates, respectively, of the center. And r squared is the measure of the length of the radius, that measurement squared. So in this example, if I know what the equation in standard form is supposed to look like, I can take the center and I take the x value of the center and I take the opposite of that. That's what this minus means. And so I'll have x plus 5 squared and then plus, and for the y, I have y minus 4. Because of this minus, I want the opposite of what I see here, that squared. And this is going to be equal to r squared. In this case, r is the square root of 7. Now, it kind of makes me cry just a little bit inside if you have to do the calculator for this, but I'd rather you use the calculator than get it wrong. So you would do the square root of 7 using parentheses, because we always should, and we want to square that, and we find that the answer is 7. We should know that because we should know that a square and a square root are inverse of each other, and they kind of cancel each other out. And the square root of 7 squared is the square root of 7 times the square root of 7, which is the square root of 49, which is 7. And so there's lots of ways that we should know without using this, that we would have this equal to 7. Let's pause here while I come up with another example. All right, we're back, and we have an example where we have a circle that has a center at the origin, and it has a radius of 5. Well, what we have to know is what point the origin is. The origin is the point 0, 0, and in that case, x plus 0 or x minus 0 is just x, and we have x squared. Y minus 0 is just y, so we have plus y squared. And the radius is 5, so that equals 5 squared, which is 25. When you're putting the equation in standard form, don't leave it to where it's just 5 squared here, and don't leave an x minus 0 or a y minus 0 in the parentheses, because they can be simplified. The reason that these stay like this is because there's no simplifying that I can do. And you'll see that in the next video where we compare the general form and the standard form of a circle. Let's pause here and maybe do one more example with the radius. And we're back for our last example in this section. We have a circle with a center of 0, 1 and a radius of 3 radical 2. Now in this one, our x value is 0. So we could start off writing x minus 0 squared. Our y value is 1. We could have y minus 1 squared. And that's going to equal 3 square root of 2 squared. Now I'm only showing you that step so you can see where we get our final answer. You may be able to go straight to our final answer without writing this down, because x minus 0 is just x. So if the coordinate of the center has a 0, it's not going to have anything in parentheses. The coordinate of the y is 1, and that's why we have the y minus 1 squared. That's going to equal the radius squared. The radius squared is 3 radical 2 squared. It is the most important thing that I can do with this problem. Well, everything's important in math. You know, you make one little mistake and everything's wrong. Everything after that. So everything's very important. So I can't say it's the most important thing, but you could do everything else right. And if you don't put parentheses around this or think of it as one value when you square it, then you're going to get it wrong. Now, you could do it one of two ways. Well, you could probably do it even more, but I'm thinking of a couple of ways that you could really do it. And one of those ways is to use the parentheses like I always tell you to do, and have 3 radical 2, use parentheses again, making sure that you're not under the radical sign, and square that, and that gives you 18. Now mentally, you can do this without using the calculator because 3 squared is 9, and the square root of 2 squared is 2, and 9 times 2 is 18. So it's really quick, and it takes longer to put it in the calculator if you know these things. But if you don't know these things, don't take a chance. And if you're in the middle of a test, certainly don't take a chance. But you could also do 3 radical 2. If you hate parentheses, you could do 3 radical 2 times 3 radical 2 to get the same answer of 18, because that's what 3 radical 2 squared is. You're multiplying it by itself. Let's pause here. So that's 3 good examples of writing an equation in standard form when you have the center and the radius. Please look forward to this next video where I'll do a couple of examples of finding the equation in standard form of a circle when you know its center and you know a point that's on the circle, not the actual measurement of the radius. Thanks for watching, and that's all I have to say about that.